All right. We're trying this take two. Welcome to this interview today with Christie Thomas, author of the brand new book, Fruitful. Christie, I'm so excited that you're taking this time to talk with us today. If you're watching with us live, I invite you as we're talking to just drop in the comments where you're watching us from. But Christie, why don't we begin? Tell us a little bit. We're going to spend about the next 20 minutes chatting. So tell us a little bit about your new book, Fruitful. What made you decide to write this book for families about fruits of the spirit?
Thanks. Well, it was actually my time in children's ministry that kind of seeded the idea, and then it grew roots and grew like a tree until eventually it bore fruit on its own. Well, with God's help. So, I mean, I'm sure that you've used fruit of the spirit curriculum before, and I remember using stuff and thinking, I don't think they're really getting it. I feel like we're missing something here. And then I realized, it's because it's a really abstract concept, right? We're talking about
Mm,
the metaphorical concept of having our roots into God's love and growing spiritual fruit. And because kids don't really understand similes and metaphors, we end up either confusing them and saying, peace is like a peach. Well, what? Or we end up moralizing it, which I think is something that we often do
mm.
in children's ministry, and something that I realized, I don't know how long ago, but I kind of slowly came to realize, oh, we can't be doing this anymore. We can't be talking about these Bible concepts this way anymore, as if they're just moral lessons. So my approach to the fruit of the spirit, which I believe is the biblical approach, is, when Jesus says, I am the vine and you are the branches, and without me, you cannot bear fruit. He's talking about abiding in him and being with
Mm.
him. And it's about the fruit coming out of that relationship with him. So the approach in the book is that we grow the fruit of the spirit by abiding in Christ. So we spend 100 days with Jesus. So for example, we see how he shows love and how he talks about love and how he's loving even when he's under arrest. Instead of striving harder to practice love, we then fill up with the love of Jesus and let it grow the fruit of love in our lives. So we don't talk so much about it being fruit. I mean, the first 10 devotions, I suppose I talk about it in a little bit more of that typical metaphorical way, but then we just go right into like the concrete. How does Jesus show this, and how can that be a part of us as well?
Oh, thank you. I love that. And I am so enjoying that. I love the way that you have written these. I know what we're having. My kids are younger, so they don't necessarily grasp everything, but I kind of change some words in that, but use silly voices, different ways to engage them. But they're loving it. Like your stories, I love the way you've written, and it's just drawing them in so much. And it was exciting to see this. We in our denomination currently have the theme of the fruit of the spirits all year. And our theme is in God's story. So it's all about being in the big scripture, like the big story
Mhm.
of God, and then how that then reflects in our lives through the fruit of the Spirit. And so
Mhm.
I was so excited to see this book and to be able to hear how you've approached it and what you've offered. So tell me, in studying the fruits of the Spirit, because you've already identified, we moralize, we do this. What do you think is the biggest misconception about this passage of scripture?
I think we feel like it's a to-do list, or like we memorize the list and suddenly we're better at it somehow. Like we memorize love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, and we expect that somehow just memorizing this is going to make us grow in it, or that just by like practicing more, I can
Mm,
practice patience, but really we aren't transformed by practicing patience. We can have a little bit of change, obviously, by practicing patience, but it's really in that transformation, the heart transformation, that the fruit really comes out of this. This is not just the fruit of the spirit, isn't just virtues and values. It's
right.
walking in the spirit. Galatians 5:16 says, walk by the spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. The fruit of the spirit is about walking in the spirit, living in step with the spirit, and letting him transform us from the inside out.
Right. I love that. Even as an adult, I love hearing that and being reminded of that,
Mhm.
and it's a bit of a relief. Like, it's not all about what I like, obviously,
Yeah.
it affects our actions, but I love that, just that kind of sense. Well, tell me, this 100 family experiences, to hear that number, I know that I would say that almost every family in our church, they wanna have a devotional time, they really wanna do this, and this sounds great, but then it also sounds a bit overwhelming. Like,
Mhm.
it can be a struggle
Yeah.
to do this time. I'm sure that you probably know that struggle too. So why do you think that this would be a great resource for families, even if they've tried in the past and they struggle through devotions?
Mm. Well, for one, habit science tells us that you're more likely to do something and do it consistently if it's easy. Because if something is easy and if it's fun for your kids, you don't require a lot of motivation to do it. It's not like, oh man, I got to read this thing to my kids again and they're going to squirm and they're going to be bored. I'm hoping, I mean, the point of me writing this and writing it in fairly short sections is that it's engaging for your kids. And I've already heard families telling me that their 3-year-old is like, we have to read the fruit book. So your kids are reminding you. So if you pick something that's easy and that's enjoyable for your whole family, it's going to be a lot easier to stick with it.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's true. I love what you highlighted. It's short. It's not a big long kind of
Yeah.
chapter that you have to read, but also the very simple like question and prayer
Mhm.
prompt that you include is so helpful because again it's not 5 different questions to make sure they've gotten all the content, but it's just a very practical prompt. So
Mhm.
I appreciate that so much. So back to 100 of these you've written them, which is amazing. Is there one that you'd love to like share with us that's your favorite, or maybe one of the top ones you like the most? Or
Well, there's only a few that come directly from my life stories, but one of them is okay. I'll tell you the real story, and then you'll discover why it sounds a little bit different in the devotional because my editor maybe cut some of it out. She's like, uh. So we used to have this apple tree in our backyard, and it grew like 12 apples the first year, and then I was expecting so many more apples the next year, and we got no flowers and no apples the next year, and I thought, okay, well, apple trees tend to kind of go biannually. Sure. The next year, it still didn't get any flowers. And the next year again, and finally, I talked to an arborist and I said, do you have any idea what's going on? And she said, well, like, what's going on around that tree? And I realized, so this tree is in our backyard. We have had a pretty private backyard there. I had been telling my little boys when they had to go pee on the tree because it would give it fertilizer. And so they were peeing on the tree and giving it fertilizer. But the problem is they were giving it far too much nitrogen, which is the fertilizer that's in urine. Like people actually use urine in their gardens because it's excellent fertilizer, but it's very high in nitrogen, which causes leaf growth, not flower growth. So I was giving it the wrong fertilizer, the wrong food. So she said, tell your little boys to stop peeing on the tree. So you see in the book, I had that in there and I fought for it to stay. But they're like, that's going to be super distracting for all the kids. They're just going to pee on the tree, pee on the tree. People see you
oh,
pee on the tree. Anyway, so we took that part out and just said I was giving it the wrong fertilizer. But that's the real story behind that one.
oh, that's fun. Yeah, that would definitely distract my girls, I think, to hear that. But that's good. Thanks for sharing though the story. Um, now you've written this for families. Families are in the title, but
Mhm.
I know that there's viewers here that are children's pastors, that are Sunday school teachers. Can this be used by them, or is it just meant to be done by a family with their own kids?
Oh, you can absolutely use it that way. You could use it to spur an idea for a lesson. I actually am creating, so far I have a series of 9 lessons. I don't have an introductory one yet, but I have one for each fruit of the spirit that includes one of the devotions and then kind of some activities based on how I presented that concept in the devotion. So there's basically a curriculum that you could use that includes this. That would be like 9 weeks, but you could do that on your own as well. You can read one of these. You can incorporate there's the hands-on growth activities in the beginning of each section. You could use some of those as part of your lesson if you needed some just kind of really impromptu, I don't have any supplies, let's just pull something together kind of lesson. Oh, we have 5 kids today. What can we do? That other activity isn't going to work. Well, you can pull out some of these because they're appropriate for small groups like families, right? You
Right.
don't need like 20 kids in order to do those activities. You could also send it home with your church families if you're already doing a Fruit of the Spirit curriculum. You already have something. You could send this home as something that families can do in conjunction. You could use it in a Christian school. Often in Christian schools, my husband used to work in one. He had to do devotions every morning. You can use this, have the
Mm,
conversations with your students instead of with your children at home.
Great. Yeah, there's really so many ways that this resource can be used in talking about the fruit of the spirits. I'm going to invite if you're watching with us today, please feel free to drop a question in the comments, and I think Christy will be happy to answer them. So if you've got a question you want to hear from her, do that, and I'll make sure she hears that question. But as people are doing that, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you. We're just days away from the Lenten season beginning, and I was really excited to hear about your kind of Easter opportunity with this resource. This is really great. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like a book within a book. It was kind of the sneaky way I realized as I was going through that there were a good number of moments in Jesus' life when he's, exhibiting love, joy, peace, all the fruit of the Spirit, specifically during that last, the crucifixion, the arrest, the resurrection, all in those last few days, that we call like the Easter season, right? So I wove those all in very intentionally at the very last 3 devotions of every section, except for the introduction section. So there's 27 then, devotions specifically revolving around the Easter story. So if you go to 18, 19, and 20, and then 28, 29, 30, and 38, 39, and 40, you will see ones that are specifically about that section. So 18 is the Last Supper, 19 is, again, the Last Supper, and then 20 is Jesus on the cross. So they're not necessarily like linear, like all Last Supper and then arrest, but you would kind of be dancing around this whole topic and seeing how Jesus is exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit, even during this huge trial and his death and then his resurrection, which is where most of the joy ones come in.
Right. That's fantastic.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I would say that's fantastic to have this little book within the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is actually one joy one that takes place in the garden or on the way to the garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I think this is a great way for if especially families that really want to start a devotional time. This is a great way to pick it up and kind of get into it, because this season of Lent for many who kind of try to do something during this season, this is a great way to kind of get into that habit. Well, we do have one question that's come in. Mary Jane has asked, Christy, do you have any tips for building this into a habit at home? Do you do it at a particular time of the day, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely kind of think through this in advance as a family. Like, when are we going to do this? When is a natural time in our day to do this? Because you might look around at other families and say, oh, they're doing it at supper time, or they're doing it at breakfast time, or at bedtime, and think that's not going to work for us. So you need to pick a time of day that is actually going to work for you, and then pair it with something that you're already doing. So for us, we do ours just after breakfast. That works really well for us. For other families, that's not going to work because you're rushing out the door to school, right? So maybe you could do it in the car. If you have a child that's old enough to read it, the child could do the reading while you're driving. Hopefully someday there will be an audiobook, but that might be the cart before the horse. And then, or maybe bedtime is best for you. So you would say, after we tuck you in, I'm going to lay in bed with you and I'm going to read this with you. So try and pair it with something that already happens regularly in your day. So you may think, I'm not really a habitual person, but we all are, especially when we have kids, right? We all eat supper. We all put our kids to bed. We all do other things. We all help our kids brush their teeth. So one of my kids, when I wanted to help him develop a habit, we did it associated with his evening toothbrushing, because he always brushed his teeth in the evening. He already had that habit. So if you connect it with something that you're already doing, you're a lot more likely for it to stick, because then that thing, like teeth brushing or getting in the car to go to school, is going to trigger, oh, we need to do this now. So then it's a lot easier to remember to do.
Yeah, what a great tip. That is so helpful. Well, we feel free, again, viewers, if you're watching and you have a question for Christy, feel free to put that into the comments and I'll see it and ask her. But I'm sure people are also now wondering, how can I get a copy of this book? And so we have a special surprise. I'm going to bring on somebody else who is going to tell us the best way to get this book. So I would like to welcome Bernice.
Hi. Thank you for having me here, Tanya. And it is so interesting to hear what you've done, Christy. I just love it. And I really, really hope people go bananas over your book.
That's the best.
So
You
I'm
did
from the Read On Bookstore and located actually in the same office as where Tanya is. We're one big happy Baptist family. And I'm here to tell you that this book can be ordered from me. As you can see, it's $26.99 on Amazon.
Gag.
But
So much.
from amazing bookstore that is Read On Bookstore, single copies are on sale for $20. But if, yeah, $20. And if you're thinking of buying it for your church, which really, we really encourage you to buy it for your church, for your parents, for your Sunday school teachers as a gift, for teaching it at the church, put it in the church library. 10 or more copies will be $18.
That's
18.
amazing. Wow.
And I have a tip. If you have grandma or your kid's favorite auntie, buy them a copy, get them to read it, and when your child hears grandma's voice reading the book, double bonus, man.
Oh, I love that, Bernice. You always have such great ideas and props too. Thank you. What a great deal. So I hope everybody caught that. 10 or more copies, and it's so easy to buy that many if you're thinking of the people that you can give them to. $18 a copy. So better than Amazon, but leave reviews on Amazon if you know what you think of the book, because that helps Christie out.
Yeah.
So that is great. And here, Bernice, you've got some comments coming up on here for you. So we'll just put some of these on here. You have some love here from your Baptist family.
Yes,
oh, and here's another great
copy
one.
crazy.
That's right. Thank you so much, Bernice. That's fantastic. Well, Bernice, the only thing better than $20 or $18 a copy is free. And so I would love to give away some free copies. I know that you have ordered a whole bunch for me to give away, but today I would love to give away 2 copies to people who are watching live. So I wonder, Bernice, do you have an idea of how we could give them away? What should people do to win a
You
copy?
you can email me and I can send out the book to you, the free copy of the book. I see Derek here today. Welcome. Mary Jane is here. Welcome. She is yes, Bernice is bananas too. And anybody else online live? If
I don't know if
you
if you're online, leave a comment so we can make sure we
yes,
know you're here online live.
yes,
So I guess what you're
please,
saying is Mary Jane and Derek should definitely get a free copy because they're watching live. Is that what you're
yes,
saying? Yeah. I
yes.
think that's great. I think that's a great way. So we will be sending you guys out a free copy. Congratulations. And because I want to be able to have more people, yes, congratulations, Derek, more people getting this copy. I do have other copies. So if you're watching this interview in a replay, then I want you to leave a comment, #replay, and I am going to let you know some ways. I have about 8 more copies, 10 more copies that I will be giving away over the next couple of months, and you can find out how you are going to be able to win that. So Bernice, thank you for joining us and letting us know about that great deal.
Thank you.
Christie, in our last couple of minutes, I wonder if there's anything else that you want to share with us about this book, or let us know about the ministry that you do, because you are so much more than just this fruitful book. So yeah, I'll give you that time.
Okay, well, first I just wanted to answer Mary Jane's question. She had asked if it requires props or prep, and no, it doesn't. You can absolutely do these devotions with just the book. I actually usually ask my kids to look up the Bible passage, so you might want a Bible with you too. And then you may be wondering about these hands-on activities, the hands-on growth activities. I've specifically made them so that you could just flip it open and go, let's do that one. So you don't need any props. There's no prep work. There are devotional books that require props and prep work. They are not for me. They may be for you, but they are not for me. I need something quick and easy, right? So, for example, we're going to close your eyes and imagine that someone is driving you up the wall crazy. Now imagine Jesus is beside you. And then, or you're acting out Bible stories with just your family members or stuffed animals, whatever's around you. So no prep required. Okay, and then your actual question, Tanya. So you can find me online at littleshootsdeeproots.com. And that stuff that I was talking about with the habits, that's something that I just love talking about, honestly. I talk about how to cultivate deep roots, deep faith roots in your home without having to know it all or do it all. And we do that through these little faith practices, these little habits that just they're easy to insert in your life, and they build up over time and create this deep, deep faith in our families.
Great. Thank you so much. That is so helpful. Well, Christie, thank you so much for taking this time out of your day to be with us, to share a little bit more about the book. I am really enjoying it personally. I'm excited for our theme that we have been exploring this year, and for the way that we've been able to offer this this resource in conjunction with how we've been sharing with our churches about focusing on the fruit of the Spirit and abiding in Christ. So thank you so much. I just see Derek's got a question here. So why don't I just see that? Derek asks, Christie, is there an ideal age to start this book? Like JKSK onward? Will families with newborn and preschool children find it useful?
I would say that because the fruit of the Spirit is kind of that metaphorical concept, I wouldn't necessarily do it with just preschoolers. If you have a preschooler in your family and the rest of your kids are elementary or beyond, yes, absolutely, I would do it with them. If your oldest is, 5 or 6, I would start it with them as well. So definitely I was writing it towards elementary kids, but I don't know if you mind me doing this, but I have another book sitting here that if you have toddlers or preschoolers, this is my very first book. And it kind of is similar in style to those hands-on growth experiences, the growth activities, where you just take something like Jonah and you do 5 super simple activities that are based on it. So you're reading the paraphrase, you're acting out the story with your child, and then you're talking about something. Oh, you're playing a quick game of hide and seek, and then you're doing a really little activity. The next day, you go find the stinkiest garbage can in your house, and you have your child smell it. And then you talk about how stinky the inside of a fish probably is. And then there's a prayer at the end. So it's 5 separate activities that you would do over the course of a week. So that's what this one is all about. So this one covers like 86 weeks of material and pairs actually really well with what you're doing in children's ministry. I actually wrote it as take-home pages originally for our preschool families and then compiled it into a book later. So it's kind of unique in book world.
Great. Fantastic. That's a great resource too. So especially for little ones, it's always hard to find really good resources that are great for the youngest age of kids. So thank you so much for that. Well, this is last chance. If anyone else has questions, or Derek or Mary Jane, if you have any more questions. I know you're on live, but it's been so great. Thank you so much, Christie. Thank you for responding to God's prompting to write this book and to offer this. I'm sure that it probably took a lot of your time and invested a lot of you into doing this. So we're so grateful that you have been gifted in this way and that you have shared this with so many of us to benefit and families and our kids to be able to grow in the fruit of the Spirit. Thank you so much, Christie, and blessings as you continue in your ministry.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Yes. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, if you're watching the replay, drop a comment because you'll want to find out other ways that you can get a hold of this book for free. Or, of course, we know you want to buy a copy once you see your free copy, buy a copy for all the families in your church from Bernice. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.